Assalamualaikum. Once again, we enter noon walk, but we're sitting in a car. Yeah. Alhamdulillah. You just gotta take a noon walk or sit when you can. You know what I mean? But we are going to be discussing predestination versus free will. I got into a discussion with my god brother about this idea, because if God knows everything, which he does, that means we have a predestined timeline, predestined actions. Like, he knows everything that's going to happen before it happens, all that stuff. And my god brother was saying that would mean that we don't have free will. And I can't specifically recall what he said, but his point was based around the fact that, if there is a predestination, we don't have free will. Because clearly we are going to a specific thing, goal, end timeline. So everything we do doesn't change where it ends. Which I get that point, but Allah is the one who is all-knowing and most merciful. Allah is the one who created everything. So yeah, he's omniscient, he's omnipotent, he knows everything as it has and will happen, every possible scenario, everything. Even what's going on in our heads as we're going through that stuff, which is just every once in a while I think Allah might get a headache, but then I remember Allah isn't human, so of course he wouldn't get a headache dealing with all of our stuff, to put it mildly, as we go through life. He just genuinely loves us and is wanting us to succeed and all this awesome stuff, which is really cool, because it's he's looking out, you know what I mean? But back to the topic. Allah is the one who knows all of that. We don't. So, we don't know where we're gonna end up. And we can't know. So, this idea that, Allah knows, and that means predestination, I don't think that means we don't have free will. I need to say that clearer. I think it is both predestination and free will. Because the very fact that we don't know what's going to happen gives us the advantage of free will, in that I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, but I'm going to do XYZ today and have my to-do list for tomorrow and how I want it to be executed and all this stuff. But until I'm actually in the day, I can't know which scenario of execution actually panned out. I can't know other people's actions and how that will also change my actions or reactions. Like, there's so many variables that we can't even conceive of. And I don't think we take that into account all the time. So I think that we oftentimes ignore the fact that we are all going to end up in the same place. We're all going to die. So I think this idea of predestination kind of is a moot point, because we're all gonna die. That's the end. Like, the end isn't, to be blunt, any prettier than that. Like, yeah, of course, what you set up for later generations and such when you're alive, yeah, these things are obviously going to be your legacy and maybe the bigger point of, or end goal, that people want to accomplish. But all of those things at the end aren't gonna matter. Like, we're all gonna die. So the idea of predestination, we kind of already have it, because we all know that we're gonna die. So that's our destination in my head. Like, I don't see past pursuing a goal and pursuing happiness as a purpose. I see a law in those things, and like, for me, the motivation is a law, but for other people, the motivation may be other things. And I personally believe that everyone's going to at some point come into contact with Allah. Now, whether or not they call him Allah or God or Jesus or other pagan gods or other, energies, if you want to talk about like karmic energy and all of these ideas, like, I believe that all of those things are a law, but depending on how you grow up and your relationship with a creator, religion, practicing people versus, like, in the Christian version, Bible thumpers. Like, there's this understanding that people, have to make a decision on how they view life, because that outlook is critical for how you interact with other people, how you interact with yourself, how you take care of yourself. The way you see your world is going to affect your well-being. And whether that's healthy or unhealthy entirely depends upon what you believe is your motivating force. So, like, I believe everyone is coming in contact with Allah. But again, depending on their relationship with that, they're not going to call it Allah. Like, I call it Allah, Him, Allah, Alhamdulillah, because I've found Islam makes the most sense for me. And I didn't always call him Allah. I called him Jesus at one point in my life because I was a Christian. Like, I was a, singing in worship band, doing the music and choreography for VBS or Vacation Bible School, if you don't know what that means. Like, singing Veggie Tales. Like, Veggie Tales is awesome. I love Veggie Tales. Always have. Always will. And, like, there are some things from being a Christian that are still there that I still enjoy. Like, a lot of the music. Love Christian music. Like, like Christian rock, Christian, like classical stuff, like, country Christian is a little bordering it for me because, like, I'm not much of a country fan in the first place. But, it's alright. Like, it's like Jenna Marbles and Julian Solomita once said, Christian rock bumps. Like, holy crap, it really does. But, like, Christianity as a theology didn't make sense to me anymore because there were questions I had that didn't get sufficient answers. And, like, having these conversations about predestination versus free will, like, to me, I believe we have free will because we, in our consciousness, in our understanding of life, etc., have ourselves. And that's it. And we got to figure out how to navigate this thing, like an avatar. And so it's like, we got to figure out what to do with our life that we have, that we didn't ask for, but we're here. So we need to figure that out. And it takes time. And I was a Christian. I was baptized as a baby because my parents believed that baptizing was a symbolic gesture from them to... I should probably shut off my car. Baptizing was like a symbolic gesture for them to be like, we are going to raise our children to believe in God. And more of like a, commitment of them raising us in this religion. And, which is cool. Like, and, like, I was raised Lutheran. But, like, Lutherans don't believe that baptism gets you into heaven. It's good to be baptized. But if you don't get baptized, like, that's fine. Like, the whole idea of accepting Jesus into your life, into your heart, that is a baptism of your soul. So, like, you don't need to go get dunked. But, like, other denominations believe that, you have to be baptized in order to be in heaven. So, like, that's why babies are baptized. Because, like, as soon as they come out, they're like, all right, let's clean this up. Clean up this soul here, and they'll be ready. Which as a Muslim now doesn't make any sense. Because Muslims, we believe that babies are not sinful. They don't know right from wrong. They do not understand. They don't have a consciousness yet. So they are not sinful. Everyone is born a Muslim. with the inherent understanding and knowledge and love for Allah. And after birth, when you start growing up, your community and your family change your opinions and affect your beliefs, so much so that you are not Muslim anymore. But as far as predestination goes, like, all roads lead back to Allah in my head. So, like, I'm gonna do the best I can to make sure that I know for a fact that I showed Allah love. More, like, just as much love as He's given me. And do what's right by people as much as I can. And take care of the people around me, because that's part of being Muslim, is taking care of the people around you. And like, it's so important to do that, and yet people get hung up on personal gains and personal goals and forget that there's people around them struggling and not being able to eat or sleep in a warm place, and other people don't care. So does, like, kind of saying the conversation of predestination versus free will is not that big of a deal, but I'm also one of those people who, like, I figured it out for myself. I know what I believe. Someone else who doesn't know what they believe might continue hammering away at that question. But, like, that's the other thing, too, is, like, sometimes it's just interesting talking about this stuff. And, like, talking with people who don't believe the same as you. Because then it's so much fun to, like, recognize another perspective. And then, like, when you start thinking about it from that perspective, you're like, oh, so that would mean this. And then, like, it just brings people closer together when you start talking about your differences in a constructive way. BT dubs. Not, like, you know, like, the covenants over there, they're like, you know, like, they don't cut the crust off the bread, like, when, for the communion, you know? And, like, I think that's kind of an important detail that needs to happen. No, calm down. Not those kinds of differences. Like, theological differences. Like, do you believe Satan can actually enter your body and do something to you? Like, do you believe in other creatures Allah has created? Do you believe that, you know, the people that you elect in public positions, do you believe that they actually want what's better for the entire community? How have they proven that? And I'm not talking about, like, do they have a degree and did they go to X amount of hours in the courtroom? Like, I'm talking, like, did they, like, I don't know, do community service? Did they do any cleanup? Did they try to, like, make their community better on, you know, just an environmentally better level? Or, like, I don't know, donating food to a can drive? Like, are they a decent person? Not, like, during campaign season. I'm talking, like, you know, daily. Like, their neighbors would know that. Like, why don't we get that information? Like, clearly they thought of themselves highly enough to believe that they earned and deserved this position, but says who? Like, was it just their blind ambition? And it's really interesting when you think about that, because in Sharia, Islamic law, one of the things is that you should never elect someone who is really ambitious and wanting the position because they want it for them. They want it for their social reputation, money, whatever. Don't elect those people. The people who don't want the position, the people who are actively working every single day to make the community better, those are the people you should elect. Because those are the people who actually work every single day to make the place just a little bit better and make people just a little bit more comfortable and happy in their community. Like, those are the people you should elect. And, yeah, like, I think it's really interesting, like, reading more about Islamic law, because everything is, like, a gray area. Like, there's definitely rules, like you shouldn't do this. But then it's like, but if you have something like a medical reason, or, like, something else is going on, or X, Y, Z, like, you're exempted from doing this. Cool. Why? Because Allah is most merciful. And he's like, I get it. You're human. You got a lot of stuff going on all the time. So, like, yeah, all of my rules, there's, like, leeway. Because, like, how good a person is doesn't depend just on how they treat people. It's how they treat themselves and how they take care of themselves, and making sure that they are mentally, physically, emotionally okay. Like, not a lot of people get to a level of self-awareness to understand that, oh, I need therapy. It's a lot, and it takes a lot of time. And some people don't have the emotional or just, like, physical energy, because it's exhausting to go to therapy and, like, actually work on your inner stuff. It's a lot of work. And not a lot of people have what it takes, you know, when they're in their 20s. Some people don't get to it till they're 50. Like, that's okay too, because guess what? Everyone's on their own timeline. Not everyone is going to be the same homogenous thing as their community all the time, like, as soon as you hit a certain age. Like, this isn't The Giver. This is not Dystopian Universe 101, where everyone, you know, gets cut off at a specific age and it's equality. And it's like, is it? Is it really equality? People seem to be really not liking this at all. You should read that book if you haven't read it. It's young adult literature, The Giver. Really good. Whew. But yeah, like, everyone is on their own pace, at their own track, chewing along. So you just gotta, like, be a little patient with people. Like, some people just, like, need a little bit more patience to just be like, hey, I get it. It sucks right now. It's probably gonna suck for a while. But you got this. You're gonna make it through. And I believe that. But my chiropractor is probably waiting for me. So I'm gonna go get cracked and adjusted. Assalamualaikum. Have a great, awesome weekend.